Hey, welcome to another edition of Local Focus. We're here in the studio in Albuquerque. I'm your host, Sebastian Noel, and so we got some viewer mail here at Proview Networks. Not hate mail, but viewer suggestions that we haven't had a volleyball player on and that we haven't had a female athlete on. One, that's not true. That's not true. We've had Amaya Brown, Haley Ryzik, Maya Rivas, but so, we love the suggestions. Keep them coming at Proview TV on Twitter. And with that suggestion in mind, my guest this week is one of the premier volleyball players in the state, La Cueva Bear, Mariana Sharp. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, playing volleyball at La Cueva, I mean, that's one of those, it's Artesia football, kind of one of those programs that's just, it's way up here. Talk about that.
Yeah.
I mean, expectations are the same every year, right? I mean, what do you guys go into the year expecting?
I think we always expect greatness. We always want to create a new record. We always want to be successful in our season, no matter what that means.
So take us back through your athletic childhood.
Well, I started off playing basketball for my dad, which was, I didn't really like playing for my dad, so I had to switch to something.
The basketball part or the dad part?
So I had to switch to something that wasn't coached by my dad, and that was volleyball. And my older sister played volleyball, so it kind of just came naturally to me.
So did you just quit the basketball altogether and then concentrate on volleyball only?
It kind of phased out. I was playing basketball a little bit, and then club started, and it was just time to go full volleyball.
So when was that point in your life where you decided volleyball only? How old were you then?
Probably 7th grade.
Okay, so not, I mean, pretty recent then.
Yeah.
Not super young. I mean, if I'm Coach Perea there at La Cueva and I see the athletes on that volleyball team, I got to be kicking myself, man, why aren't these girls playing basketball, right?
Yeah.
Has he ever approached you like, hey
yeah,
guys?
he has talked to some of us, especially Sydney, but
Athletic family, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that, just, growing up with athletes, the competitiveness.
My dad has always played basketball. He was super, super competitive. He always pushed sports. It kind of helped him with his life. And it kind of rubbed off on me and my siblings, especially me and my younger brother. And I don't know, sports has always come really easy to me. We've always been really athletic, so.
I ran into your dad actually 3 weeks ago out in Bernalillo, and yeah, he was giving us the full court press about his girls. So he's obviously very proud. Competitive moments with your sisters when you were growing up? Can you think of any?
Oh, a lot. Ever since probably last year when she graduated, we've always been kind of going head to head with each other.
What are some of the funny or good ones from when you were young that you can remember?
I remember we were having a talent show, and my sister and I were kind of going head to head as far as
wait a
like
minute.
gymnastics.
This story has potential. Okay, a talent show. Okay, so give me the details here.
So, we were going head to head. We had our own little routines, and my sister and I, we were going pretty hard. And then my brother comes up, and he just knocks us all out of the park when he falls on his back in the middle of a song trying to do a backflip. So.
Okay.
I mean, we're all pretty competitive.
So what were you guys? What songs? What were you guys? Tell me more about this talent show.
My sister and I probably had a Fergie type CD on, or Mariah Carey.
Okay.
And my brother came with his own song that he had made up himself.
Well, see, that steals the show right there. I mean, that's it's got the originality part, right? And then he does whatever he does. Okay, so how competitive is that just around the dinner table every night? Now you guys get to La Cueva, you're playing the same sport. Talk about that. I mean, how was that?
I mean, when I was a freshman, I made varsity, and my sister was on JV when she was a sophomore. So, I was on JV.
I'm sure you never rubbed that in, though, right?
Well, I didn't, but the people at school always brought it up. They were always talking about how I was on varsity and she wasn't. It was pretty awkward.
So not once at dinner.
No.
Did you say, "Hey sis, when are you
gonna
join me?" Nothing. You never did. Even when you got really mad at her, never.
No, she's top dog.
Well, that's a good sister then, I guess. So you mentioned it. You talk about playing varsity as a freshman there. Obviously, that's got to be a pretty big deal at La Cueva, right? Making varsity as a freshman. Talk about that going in. I mean, was that did you go to La Cueva for that reason? Talk about that.
I actually used to live really close to La Cueva, and they had just won state when I was a freshman, so it was kind of intimidating. A lot of the returning players had really high standards for that season. I was just hoping to live up to that.
So talk about your first time going out for the team there. What were your impressions of coach, of teammates, of the program?
If I'm being honest, I was
Yes,
kind of
yes, that's what we want.
I
Brutal
wasn't-
honesty.
I
Coach
wasn't
Archibek
super-
never watches the show. So
I wasn't super excited about the team because I just felt like there was so much pressure. Like I have to be a really perfect player to play on this team. But throughout the season, I kind of got more comfortable and I kind of understood how everything worked. So.
what were some of the teammates early on that you really looked up to? Like, wow, these guys are good.
Definitely Andrea Howard. She's going to the Olympics for softball. So I mean, you can't really top that. She's an amazing athlete. And Annabelle Kabinski, she was a really tough person to play with. She was hard on her teammates. She always pushed us. And I really admired that. Even though it was kind of tough sometimes, I admired it.
So when you find out you make the team, what's that like?
I remember it was at the camp. It was at one of the summer season camps, and my coach was like, "I think tryouts are over," and I was like, "Well, I'd hope so." But it was very refreshing. It was nice to know that I was worth it.
Was it in the bag, or was it still? It was still a question of, hey, I could start on JV, or was it in the bag? You had it in the bag.
I felt like it was kind of in the bag.
Okay, all right. We're gonna take our first time out here. We'll come back with Mariana and talk a little bit more about getting going as a freshman at La Cueva.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, #life change will occur.
Back with La Cueva's Mariana Sharp. We're talking about her freshman season at La Cueva. How do you think it started out? What was the adjustment like?
Well, we lost our first game, so it was kind of it was pretty depressing. I mean, it's nothing you want to start the season off with, but the adjustment, things started coming together, the team started working things out, and I think it got a lot better.
Why is it you think that volleyball seems to be the sport? It's something that I noticed just from all the games we do, but volleyball seems to be the sport that has the most impact freshmen. You don't see a lot of that in the other sports. Why do you think that is?
I think it depends on the teammates, really.
Right.
And a lot of times we're encouraged to welcome people rather than just, be rude to the freshmen coming in. So
So that's what they do at LaCroix with the boys, the basketball and football. They're rough on the freshmen. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. Yeah.
You've heard. So I mean, you have a pretty good season. You remember your first interview on Proview Networks? It was with me.
Yes,
So
I do.
I remember we were talking to Coach Archibek, and I said, "Can I talk to Mariana?" And then he said, "She's a freshman. She might be scared, or she might not say anything when the camera turns on." But I just remember, I think it was early in the game that you had that nice little stretch that I thought really paced your team. And we talked that day, and I told Coach, well, she better get used to it. And that was the beginning, kind of towards the beginning of a very good freshman year for you guys as a team and as an individual. Talk about that.
I think winning Metro is always a good push for the season. But it's really just kind of staying focused at that time towards the beginning, and then just finishing out a season really strong.
With Metro coming so early in the season in volleyball, is it kind of a chance for you guys to say, hey, we're the big dog now, we'll be the team in the city? Not every sport has it that early in the season. Yeah,
I feel like it definitely is a chance for us to really show our potential and just show that we're going to keep getting better. So
Sandia was the district champ that year. You guys lost by 1 to them in district. You didn't play the last game of the year, I believe, right? Didn't you miss a game against Sandia?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
That was when I actually fractured my collarbone, and that was pretty tough sitting on the sideline for that, because, it's just hard sitting on the sideline, period, but when it's in district, it's just a whole different feeling.
You guys developed a nice little rivalry. I mean, that was the matchup in the city for 2-3 years. I mean, just talk about some of those matchups seem to bring out the best in both teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you're playing against a team, you're going to be competitive, period. But when you're going up against a team that has like the same, if not better, skills, then you're definitely going to want to step your game up for that.
Freshman year that included a 22-kill game against Sandia. We get to the playoffs. You defeat El Dorado. You take out Cleveland, and then take us through the championship matchup against Las Cruces.
That was. I remember I hadn't been playing much because I had just come back, and It was kind of tough to get back into that, and then getting back into the competitive zone where you really want to beat the team, but you're not playing your best or you're not ready. It was a really tough game, but I mean, Las Cruces fought, and they really deserved to go.
What's that comeback from injury like from the collarbone? I mean, how severe was that injury, and what were you doing to get back?
I mean, I could definitely feel it, but when the difference between like a bad injury for me and just like an injury is like when the adrenaline doesn't take the pain away. Like usually it's just there's so much going on and I'm just like, okay, it hurts, but it's whatever. But it was kind of different because I could feel that my collarbone wasn't right. And coming back from that, it kind of took a while, but I mean, I'm back to normal, so.
Right. So what's the mindset at the end of the season there? What do you guys have to do to improve as a team, and what did you decide you had to do to improve as an individual player?
I think I kind of understood how high school volleyball worked, and I was like, okay, this is what I need to work on. I need to be a better teammate, definitely. And as a team, I think we understood that we kind of had to leave the things that weren't going on the court off of the court.
Coach calls them vampires, right?
Yeah.
So how does one become a better teammate? I mean, it's easy to say that, right? I have to become a better teammate. But how do you go about doing that?
I honestly, I haven't been a good teammate until probably about this year because it takes a lot of growing up. It takes a lot of maturity, and it kind of takes a self-reflection. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, it was what I'm doing good. Would I want to be treated like this? And I think I finally got around to doing that this last season.
If you were talking to a young Mariana Sharp, what advice would you give her on being a better teammate?
It's not about you. Being a good teammate is not about you at all. It's about your team. Because the negativity, it doesn't help anybody. It might look cool, like Kobe Bryant is mean sometimes, but you're not Kobe Bryant. So.
Right. So you get to your sophomore year, obviously a fantastic 20-3 season as a team. You're Metro champs again. What's your development at that point like? Not only as a player, but since we talked about you as a teammate, where are you at on that side of things? Where are you at on the volleyball side?
I felt like I kind of had my place on the team. I felt like I kind of knew what I had to do to get my team to where they needed to be. And with Sydney, my best friend, like by my side, I kind of knew that like we'd be the dynamic duo. Like we could do anything really. And as far as like physically, I kind of started getting in the gym a little bit more, and figuring out that like how to play against the different girls.
Now, championship was against Sandia, came up short. Talk about that.
It was definitely frustrating. I was kind of tired of losing at that point. I was tired of losing in the semifinals of state. I felt like we just needed to push a little bit harder, but I knew what we needed to do for the next year. And
now, at that point, does it start creeping into your head? Hey, a couple of setbacks, back-to-back years, we didn't finish the job. What starts to go on in your mind?
I kind of started to think about the little things, like what was going on that I couldn't pull that out. Like, why do we keep falling short by just a little bit?
You have coaches lecturing and telling you guys, hey, the Vampires, we got to come together as a team. Where are you guys at this point as a team? How seriously are you taking those words from Coach Archibald? Where are you guys at in the team meshing process? What's the mindset in the summer going forward to the next year?
I felt like we were ready. We were tired of losing. We were just over it. And Sydney is one of the most competitive people I know, and I knew that she was just ready to really bring it the next year.
At what point did it start to feel different? Did you guys know right away? Was it something, where you're going, okay, I hope there's not a setback? I mean, what does it feel like from the inside?
I feel like it kind of, once we knew who was like leaving the team and who was going to be leading the team, we were like, oh yeah, we're ready. Like, we're ready to go all the way this time.
What does Coach say during the off season, or what do you guys say to each other about, addressing some of the team chemistry part? Does he have to say anything at that point, or what's going on during the off season? Who's starting to develop as leaders?
I definitely, in volleyball class, we're lucky enough to have a volleyball class at La Cueva, so that's when leaders are made, I feel like, and people really start to follow in that class. We kind of decide who's ready to lead the team and who's going to be ready to follow.
And when did you feel like it clicked? Was it right at the end of the season? Was it at the beginning when you guys are all back at school? Because I know, there's really no off season during volleyball, right?
Yeah.
With the clubs. So when did it start to click?
Probably during preseason, during the summer. That's when things started. Like, because we hadn't lost any games, so we were really ready to get to it.
So you get to your junior year, and that's an undefeated season. Obviously, that ends the way you guys wanted to. What have you done to really become a complete player at this point? Because if you look at your stat lines from freshman to sophomore to your junior year, you can tell you're in on every rotation now. You're obviously becoming a well-rounded player defensively. You're one of the better servers on the team. What did you do at that point to become a more complete player?
I kind of started focusing more on my defense rather than my offense, because I know I'm not going to get a kill every time. I know I'm not going to get the set every time. So
especially on that team, right, where that's with so many hitters.
Yeah. So you got to take what you can get. You got to do what you can for your team.
I've always wanted to ask a volleyball player this. Now, when I have basketball players on, they can look back at certain dunks. I'm like, yeah, that dunk against so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Volleyball, is that the same thing? Like, do kills stand out? Like, yeah, that kill against so-and-so. Is it the same?
Yeah, for me, it's more defense, because defense is probably in my opinion, defense is way harder than offense in volleyball. So I remember a lot of crazy ups that I got in really important games.
So what about Sydney or some of the other hitters that you've played with? Do they remember certain kills? Like, hey, I remember that I broke that girl's nose or whatever. Does certain ones stand out?
I certainly remember some of Sydney's. Like, sometimes she'll hit somebody in the head and I'm like, oh gosh, how did she do that? Like, it's just, sometimes you really remember some things that you do.
Right, yeah, I know. I was the PA announcer at West Mesa for basketball, and they suckered me into doing volleyball for 1 year. And that was a rough year there at West Mesa, and I think we had a broken nose. I don't remember who hit it at the West Mesa player, but I do remember there was a broken nose. So I was always curious if those kills, if those stand out like basketball player dunks. We're going to take our last time out, come back, talk a little bit more about what's next for Mariana. She's got her senior year and beyond, and then we're going to get into some politics as well, which is one of her interests away from volleyball.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game. Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am?
Dang, this one made me feel all special.
Look, Mariana Sharp is my guest here, and we'll continue now with, I guess, your senior year. There's only one way to follow an undefeated season, right? So I'm assuming that's always the goal at La Cueva, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Our preseason was a little bit rough. We had a couple losses against some really good teams, but I hope to lead with another state championship.
And talk about, I mean, there is absolutely no volleyball off season. I mean, the work you guys put in the summer. Talk about that.
I feel like it's always worth it. It's always worth the extra work. The only way you get better is if you keep working, and the only way that you're going to beat the better team is by working. So.
Now, the nice thing is you kind of have your college situation already determined. That's got to be a huge weight off your shoulders. So you're going to be going to New Mexico State. You'll be an Aggie. What went into that decision?
My mom always talked about how she would be so excited if she got to go watch almost every game, and she got to bring her parents out to see me because they're huge supporters, my grandparents. So I felt like that went into the decision, and it kind of just felt right when I was on campus.
Okay. And so away from volleyball, what do you plan on studying there at New Mexico State?
I plan to study health science, and then after that I plan to go to nursing school.
Okay. And so one of your interests away from volleyball is politics, you told me.
Yes.
So that's always fun to talk about.
Yes.
So let's get into this Democratic debate a little bit, right?
Okay.
So who's your guy or gal? Who's your candidate?
Bernie Sanders. All the way.
So what draws you to crazy hair Bernie? Now he kind of got screwed out of the last one a little bit. So how did you feel when the big bad Clinton machine kind of gave Bernie the screw job on that one?
I kind of felt like there were a lot of uneducated voters because sometimes you'll hear one thing and you'll just make a decision off of that.
Right.
But you really got to do your research when it comes to politics.
So it sounds like you've done your research, so I'm going to just fire some questions about the other candidates now, right? Okay, so tell me about the guy that wants to solve everything with giving everyone $1,000. That's his answer for every question.
Yes.
So tell me about him.
He has a pretty thought out plan for it.
Businessman, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
he is an entrepreneur. He has a lot of other really good ideas as far as the environment and helping that out. So that's kind of why I listen to him and I have an ear for him.
So $1,000 a month? Is it every month? Is it every year? How does that work?
I think from what I heard, it was every year.
Okay.
And it was just adults, so like 18 and older. So I mean, I'm all for it.
Right, but he doesn't have a chance, right? So right, there's no chance.
He's not one of the more serious candidates, but I mean, people really were listening when he said.
Right, and then
money.
there's Crazy Uncle Joe.
Yeah.
Right. So is he all there? Like, does he know the building he's in when he's at these debates? Because he did not have a good first debate, right? He was not awake for the first one.
It was tough.
A little better the second one.
Oh.
But it does seem like everyone's kind of attacking him, right?
I mean, yeah, because it was kind
runner.
of easy. It was kind of easy because of his past. I mean, he wasn't always for the current Democratic position.
Right.
Like he kind of voted a little bit more to the conservative side.
Right. When you have a 30-year background, obviously they're gonna attack that. And Kamala Harris took him out to the woodshed the first debate, right? I mean, that was pretty bad.
Kamala Harris is not. I'm not a fan of that one either.
Okay. All right. I like that. That's. But she doesn't have a chance either, right?
I hope not. No.
Okay. I mean, if the Democrats want to win a national election, can they run a candidate from one of the coasts? Do you think? Because there's such pushback from any New York liberal or California liberal, right? So that kind of, she's out. What about Cory Booker?
I mean, I just don't think that anybody will really. They don't really bring a candle to Bernie Sanders.
Right. Well, can you get the best candidate when you got 20 people up there? Because kind of isn't that what happened to the Republicans, right? They had their 18-man circus, and look who survived, right?
Yeah.
So can you get the best candidate when it's 20 candidates?
No, you really can't. But I feel like Bernie Sanders is going to get us on the right track. So.
Now, what about Beto? Because he won't stop using the F word. So he's he doesn't have a chance either, right?
I mean, that's
and he
not
just
how
keeps
you get
cussing and cussing and cussing. What's his deal?
I mean, that's just not how you. I feel like that's not really how you get the votes, especially as a Democrat. I feel like that's not really what we're looking for.
So at the end of the day, you think Bernie's going to come out of this 20 candidate field?
If our voters are educated, I think so. So everybody vote.
All right. We hope you have a fantastic senior year. I know we'll be at a ton of La Cueva games. We always are. And the best of luck at New Mexico State. Thank you so much for coming in. And we're going to go back to back with volleyball guests next week. We'll have Brianna Rivas with us, and we'll have an update of some previous guests as well. Thank you for watching, and good night.
The Albuquerque Dragway is a proud sponsor of Proview Networks. Visit abqdragway.com for directions and a full event schedule.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.